It says there's a red button.
Yeah.
All right, great. So I'm Elise. I'm the dietitian. I'm the dietitian from the hospital here at Henry County. And after our last discussion, you guys brought up some topics that you wanted to learn more about. One of the things that you said was about dried beans, or how to cook with them, or what to do with them. They're very cheap to purchase. You can buy a bag of dried beans for about $2.25, and each one of the cans of dried beans can be close to $1 a piece. So I'm going to try to teach you what do I do with dried beans, how can I make them work for me, and give you a couple of recipes. But the recipe that I'm going to make today is pretty much a basic, how do I start and get them from a dried form to a ready to cook form. And then I'm going to show you a hummus recipe. Has anybody ever tried hummus before?
I've heard it, but I haven't.
Heard of it? Okay. So let's step backwards a little bit. So why are beans so good for us?
Fiber.
Yeah. Iron. Yeah, they're a great source of fiber, a great source of iron, and they're also a good source of protein. Now, they're a protein that we don't have to refrigerate or freeze, though, so they're easy to transport and keep an eye on. The fiber that we're looking for, fiber comes in two different ways: soluble and insoluble. Have you heard those terms before? Okay. So, which one of them helps with cholesterol? The soluble or the insoluble? 50-50 chance.
Insoluble.
Oh, I heard both. Okay. It's the soluble. And if you think about it, the soluble is the ones that dissolve in water, so they turn into kind of a glue or a paste in the water. So these would be the beans. They'd be your fruits, and they would also include oats, so oatmeal. Oatmeal is the easiest one to picture, right? Because you can see how it kind of gets into a paste. So those are the ones that help lower the cholesterol. The best thing about those are the things that I named are also vitamin-rich, nutrient-rich foods. So how nice to be able to eat a food to help lower your cholesterol, but also give you the vitamins and minerals you need. Diet is only 50% of this battle. So if you can try to lower your cholesterol through the food, that's a nice addition. If not, give it a short period of time and you may need some additional help from the medication side of things. So if the soluble is the one that dissolves in water and helps lower cholesterol, what does the insoluble do? Wow, what's the other reason we eat fiber? Yeah, your colon health. Yeah, absolutely. So the insoluble is the one that's known for its gut integrity. Helps keep the bowels moving, helps keep you regular. It doesn't dissolve in water, and it's most common in our whole grains and our vegetables. Okay, so those things that still stay grainy and don't dissolve. To give you a picture, celery, for example. You know, we all know that it's got that spiny back to it, so that's the insoluble fiber. It's the skins on the fruits that are also the insoluble fiber that help move the bowels. So because it helps lower your cholesterol and it helps improve your bowel health, overall it can combat some common medical diseases. Any idea what diseases those that we could help with?
For the colon, you mean?
Yeah.
Cancer.
Absolutely.
Because I just had cancer, but it wasn't. So I know that one.
Absolutely. Yep. So they talk
They
about...
got it all. Let's put it that way.
Good. Good. Yep. They absolutely use it as a recommendation to help prevent and recover after a colon cancer. How about diabetes? Do you think fiber would help with diabetes?
It could help stabilize your sugar.
Yes.
Exactly. Yep. Helps stabilize your sugar. So fiber is a carbohydrate, but it's a slow digesting carb. So instead of having a quick rise in the blood sugars that maybe we get from a juice form, we get a nice slower release, so the blood sugars don't spike as quickly. The other side of that is fiber helps you feel full. So it makes you eat less. So it can help with weight control too. So you eat a high fiber food and it makes you feel fuller, it lasts with you a little bit longer, you tend to not eat as much calories. What about your heart?
Helps with the heart.
Right, absolutely, because it lowers our cholesterol and then digestive health too. The thing about adding fiber to your diet is there are a couple of watch out fors. Our general population only gets about half the amount of recommended fiber. Do you have any idea how many grams of fiber you're supposed to have each day? As a general rule, your goal is to aim for 25 or more. I mean, you're really, at minimum, you're trying to get at least 25 grams of fiber. So to give you some perspective here, so this is the black beans. A half a cup gives me 6 of my 25 grams of fiber. Most of us are only getting 10. So trying to get 25 grams of fiber when you're used to only 10 can play a lot of changes on your body. Since fiber stimulates the bowels, and you're not used to having it in there, it may feel like it's overstimulating your bowels. It can also produce some gas. That's probably the biggest complaint about beans in particular, is the gas component. And it's really just that your body isn't used to it yet. So when you're introducing fiber into your diet, you need to introduce it slowly. You know, start with beans once a week. Then next week, instead of doing a half a cup, do a full cup. You also want to make sure you drink plenty of water. Fiber needs the water to help digestion and help move the foods through your system. And then the other third component of that can help relieve the gas is movement, exercise. The exercise actually brings nice good blood flow to your bowels that can help those be more regular too. So anytime you're adding more fiber, what do you need to do?
Drink a lot of water.
Drink a lot of water and
Exercise.
exercise. And the third thing, go slow. Yep, introduce it slowly. Okay? Great. Alright, so getting into our recipe here. I have already taken a bag of dried beans. That was only a half a bag because I didn't think we needed a full one. And every time you're working with dried beans, you really have to do that soak. Okay, you've got to do it. It's one way that we can help get the slime off of them, and it also can decrease the gas production. So these beans, I did the quick soak method, where I brought them to a boil for 2 minutes and then let them set for an hour in the warm water. The other easy thing to do is store them in the fridge overnight. Now, once you have them pre-cooked or soaked, you have to rinse off that water, and then you need to sort the beans. Beans are just a natural vegetable grown out in the environment, so like with anything else, not every bean is perfect. So if you see some that look discolored or look funny, pitch them, just throw them out. Okay. So I did the quick soak already, and then the next step that would be easy for you to do at home is I put them in the crock pot overnight. So I pre-soaked them, then I rinse them all off and put in fresh water. I put in 6 cups of water for about 1 cup of beans. So a lot of water. They absorb a lot of water. And then I just cooked them on high overnight so that these are ready to go. Now at this stage in the game, you can add whatever you want to them. If you wanted to have them already done, you could prepackage these in 1 cup portions and throw them in your freezer. So they're ready to go to bring them out. Beans can be used for a lot of different things. People think of chili. But then the next step would be, these could be an easy protein source that you could use in a taco. Maybe it's a way to help you preserve or stretch your ground beef that you got. You can put your beans in there. You can also use beans for a breakfast dish too. Yeah, a side of beans. We gotta bring the Mexicans out of you. Uh-oh, is it really going off, John?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Of course it is. Alright, so we got the beans all ready to go, and I talked to you about a hummus recipe. So a traditional hummus recipe uses chickpeas or garbanzo beans. Have you seen these? You don't like those at all? Good, because I'm not going to use them today. But the chickpeas, if you look at the picture on here, they're the ones that you typically see on the salad bar. Okay, they're the white beans. If you don't like chickpeas, an easy substitution is any white bean. So these are the Great Northerns. You could use those. So that's the traditional recipe. But today I'm using black beans because I'm going to change it up a little bit. So we've got our black beans there, and I'm also going to put the Greek yogurt in here. Have you guys seen this? It's another good source of protein. The recipe that I'm using, you don't have to use yogurt, but you need something of a moisture in here. The other thing that they use is ground sesame seeds. I don't know about you, but I don't usually keep ground sesame seeds in my house, and they tend to be a little bit more pricey. So a plain yogurt was a cheaper way for me to put that together. Now it calls for a 1/2 cup, and this I believe is a 6 ounce, so I'm going to kind of eyeball about 1/2 cup. What do you know about Greek yogurts already? Is anybody eating Greek yogurt? No? Okay.
You can use it in place of cream cheese too.
Yep. The Greek yogurt, as you saw, is a little thicker than yogurt, see? A little thicker consistency. The texture is a little bit more gritty too, so if you're used to that creamy, soft yogurt, it's more custard-like than what you're used to. And I would say you probably don't want to normally get the plain. You probably want to get something with flavor in it. It's a little bit bitter when you're comparing it to our normal yogurt. But the benefit of this is what they've done is they've actually pulled off a lot of the water that makes it thicker to make it a lot more protein. So one portion has 18 grams of protein. Normal yogurts are more like 5 to 7, so a lot more protein for you. Now, of course, the calories are a little bit higher because it's more protein. So that's in there. Second thing is garlic. Does everybody cook with garlic? Oh, yeah. Easy way to add flavor to things. Again, it's another heart-healthy herb that you can add. There's no salt to it, so you don't have to worry about the sodium component. Great way to add flavor without all that extra stuff. So I use a garlic press. You can peel it yourself and just chop it. I love to not have all that mess. And you know what? I did forget one thing. My little tool to get it out of here. So I am going to have to stick my fingers in it. So if I have garlic smelling fingers for the rest of the day. You can buy pre-crushed garlic, but you'll notice the taste is just a little bit different since it wasn't done right on the day of. It has a little bit stronger bitter flavor to it, I find. You can get it chopped. If you don't have fresh garlic, you could always use a garlic powder. Notice I said garlic powder, not garlic salt.
I use garlic powder.
Yep. So be aware of that. There's a difference. Why would I suggest garlic powder, not garlic salt?
You use the leaves too. You can take the leaves off the garlic and use it and work just good.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The stems, what are those called? They have a name. Garlic shoots, garlic scabs?
I know I do it out there when I'm out there working. I just grab some of that and eat it.
Yep. A little bit of lemon juice. And then traditionally, to give it some more herbs, I just pulled an herb from my cupboard that was about empty. This happens to be a Greek rub, and it has garlic, lemon peel, red peppers. The recipe that I'm sending you home with uses red and green peppers to put in it, so I thought that this was something close. But that's the thing with hummus is you can add just anything you want to it. Okay, so I'm going to mix that just to get it blended together, and then I'm going to take the blender to it. So this is the point where it's going to get kind of noisy. If you got your hearing aids in, turn them down. Okay. So you can use a food processor, you can use a blender. If you just want to mash them with a fork, you can do that too. This is just what I brought today to make it easier on me.
The stick.
Yeah, the stick. There we go. If you like it still chunky, you don't have to blend it all the way up.
flavoring.
Little bit of flavor. It looks like I had more moisture in here than I thought I would. I was afraid I wouldn't have enough, so I had actually added about a half a cup back of the broth, of the wet solution, because I was afraid. But now it's actually runnier than I thought. But that olive oil also gives it the moisture that you need to break it up too. Olive oil is a heart-healthy fat, meaning it actually can give you some benefits for your heart. So I don't want you to be afraid of all oils. What do you remember from last time? What are the heart-healthy oils called? It's like a board game. Do you remember me talking about the board game? Mono and poly unsaturated. Monopoly fats. Remember when you're looking at the label?
Is it better than butter and all that?
Absolutely. All right, so I'm definitely seeing that this is more runny than I had intended to. So it's going to be a little bit runnier than a dip. But so this could be used as a chip dip. You could use the traditional hummus could be used as your spread on a sandwich. So instead of getting the higher saturated fats like our butters or our Miracle Whips, this could give you a protein source, lean protein source, great source of fiber without any extra salt added to it.
Like a Miracle Whip.
Like a Miracle Whip. So you can use it as a chip dip, you could use it as a cream or a spread. What other things could you use it for in replacement? Sandwiches are what really come to mind the most, or on a cracker for an afternoon snack. Those are the kind of things you can look for. Okay? So, like I said, traditional recipe uses the Great Northern as a replacement, or the chickpeas. Same thing, you add your garlic, your olive oil, a little bit of lemon juice, and then whatever spices appeal to you. You could use roasted red peppers, you could use a pesto spread that you could put in there with it. It's just a basic starter recipe to get you going. Okay. So let me look through my notes here real quick.
It's more like a refried bean.
Yeah, much healthier version of a refried bean. Yep. I didn't add any lard to it.
Yeah.
Good. So the things I brought you to take home with you, the last part of this, I mentioned trying to get 25 grams of fiber. So on the back of this paper, it talks about how can I get 25 grams of fiber. So starting with a high fiber cereal, making sure that you're having your piece of fruit, using whole wheat breads and peas. So really, you can get there pretty quickly when you start your day with a whole grain cereal. Now I will say there's a certain company that made this, Fiber One. So it definitely promotes their material as the breakfast start. Okay. Any questions for me about hummus? About dried beans?
How do you get the chickpeas from being so hard?
Yes. So when you buy them in the can, they've already been softened for you. And blending them up in something like this is great because then it holds that thick consistency to it. They do really well with that. They almost pop when you blend them. Anything in a can, rinsing it off would be my #1 recommendation with these because they are in a saltwater solution. Also, both of these beans have just a little bit of a skin on the outside that doesn't present itself well in a form like this. So going ahead and using a strainer to rinse them off to get that extra, just that little layer off will help too. Okay. So how do we work with dried beans? What's the most important thing when you're doing dried beans? They gotta be soaked.
I had a friend who did that.
Yep, an overnight soak works great, and then rinse them off. Put in fresh water in the crock pot, and you can cook them overnight, and you'll have a great, ready-to-go bean.
They do their own self.
Yep, they take care of themselves. Great. Well, I'm going to turn off the camera and let you guys sample this. Okay, if you wouldn't mind pushing the red button for me.